It's politics.
For me, it is what I call Iberberism. I beg your pardon. Go and search for it, my friend.
It's current affairs.
4 years course, metamorphosing into 6 years.
And news that affects you.
What an academic academic in their leadership rococo, leadership rababare.
It's all the serious stuff,
but with a light-hearted twist.
I'm Sandra Ezekwesili.
And I'm Aghogho.
Join us 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. every weekday.
Right here
on Hard Facts.
Hello, Lagos. Good afternoon. I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
Shakumaku, everybody, all the way from Tehran to Lagos to Abbottabad and back to Victoria Island. I am Oboh, and we're in for a great show.
Yes, indeed. Your first hard fact is my count up. It's been 82 days since President Buhari was sworn in. Nigeria still has no ministers. It's been 3 weeks since the Senate confirmed all of President Buhari's ministerial nominees, and they still do not have portfolios. Now, the presidency has said that by Wednesday, in 2 days' time, on the 21st of August, they're going to have their portfolios. If they stick to that deadline, it means Nigeria will go 84 days in the second term without ministers. We're doing something special for that day, yes?
Oh, yes, we are. Wednesday beginning from 10 a.m. We've got our people at the State House, Abuja, and already the retreat has begun today. So everything seems in place, and then we will be giving you coverage of the who gets what and who gets the headlines for major ministries. So all of that will have discussions beginning from 10 a.m. on Wednesday.
Yes, indeed. Exactly 5 years ago today, we should also remind you that Dr. Stella Dadeva passed on from infections and complications as a result of Ebola 5 years ago today. 5 years. Well, we've started conversations about Ebola yet again because in DR Congo they're dealing with it. We also have an African who found a cure that takes care of the symptoms within 1 hour of administration of the medication. And we also have Nigeria's aviation authority telling airports to beef up security and beef up basically alertness, awareness about a possible reinfection of Ebola. It hasn't happened yet. We're hoping it doesn't happen, and everybody's just trying to be proactive about it. I was listening to a conversation some time ago, and I think the person was mentioning how in other climes, in other airports, there's no we have to prepare for Ebola. The temperature scans and all of that are in place, and they don't go away. Yes.
Yeah, Port Health. Yeah, the Port Health works very well, and but it's just atrocious that even at the airport you have this sort of things, maybe with the handheld devices to detect temperature rise and all of that. But at the land borders, where a few times have been passed, not just with Nigeria, but with most of the West African coast,
borders,
you cannot find such advance and you go to steady flow of people moving in and out, just like during the Ebola crisis in 2015. There was big concern about what we're doing with the land borders because you've got so many unmanned border areas, and people thought that it was just easy for anyone. You got Nigerians who do business in the DRC, who go by road, So those were things people were thinking about then, but we still haven't seen any change in the way that is being done. But we focus on the air because that's where Sawyer came in last time. So
yes.
That's why there's a lot of focus.
Well, that's why we're paying attention to that one. Well, fingers crossed that we don't have to deal again. Congratulations, by the way, to Nigeria, the Nigerian women's basketball team for winning AfroBasket, the African Championship. They beat Senegal yesterday. The weekend was so eventful. There was so much going on. My goodness. Our women keeps delivering for Niger, Aghogho, and I am so proud. First, we had the Super Falcons winning the AFCON, qualifying for the round of 16 at the World Cup. Now the basketball team. You men need to, I don't know, stop eating apple so much.
I don't want to start a gender war here.
Stop eating apple so much.
Well, good for the women, but just that when they get outside the country, it's a problem.
It's also a problem for the men as well when they get outside the country. The only thing I think I don't like about the women's basketball team is their name. It's grammatically incorrect. Instead of being called the Tigresses, it's simply the Tigress. I mean, how did that happen? Didn't anybody...
Tigress.
Didn't anybody understand that, Tigress is singular? It's singular. It should be the Tigresses. right? Tigers is singular, not plural.
Well, in sports, anything goes. If you
Wow.
go, Sandra, you go read the sports script, and they can pick one for singular, plural.
Oh,
But
God.
it's sports, so it's the way they use the language.
Anything goes in sports? I'm
Well,
sure sports broadcasters are listening to you right now. I'm waiting for you to beat
not
you.
that anything goes through in sports, but it's just certain idioms and ways they use that you would just say, okay, sports, so that's how it's used. So they don't frown at you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
On hard facts, we don't make grammatical errors. When I give you the best insights into today's most important topics, we bring them to you, we break them down, we give you the facts. And on the big three today, let's talk about Ezekwesili in Germany. An angry mob beat him up. And non-academic staff go on strike in the universities. And a UK court permits a company to seize 3 trillion naira worth of Nigeria's assets. Scary stuff. Today is Monday, so we have Checkpoint.
Yeah, on Checkpoint, we're going to be going to the prison where a new bill has been signed into law by President Buhari, changing the name of the prison service to correctional service. So I've had conversation with the hierarchy for the prison service, and no statement is out yet. They're still studying the document. They probably will release some statement later on this week. But once that is out, then all of them will start to follow what the Oga at the top has said. But we'll speak with the Committee for Defense of Human Rights, who also worked on that bill, to look at areas which goes beyond. A lot of talk has been about the name, but it's beyond the name. There's so many aspects of the bill which has now overtaken the Prison Service Act, the old act now. So we'll talk about that on Checkpoint.
I can't wait to have that conversation. And on the
Yeah.
big hard facts, we're continuing our look at the various ministries and their domains ahead of President Buhari's announcement of portfolios for his ministerial nominees. And today we're looking at infrastructure. We're going to be analyzing rail, roads, and waterways. Who's our guest for that, Aghogho?
Yeah, Dikpo Layokan. Dikpo Layokan is a veteran journalist and expert in maritime, and he will be looking at just what lies in store for the incoming minister for transport, as well as the one for works, because they go side by side.
And we'll wrap up with I beg to differ. Ore and
Sankara.
Sankara getting ready to go. As usual, throughout the show, we're bringing you the latest updates from the worlds of news, sports, and entertainment. But let's start it all off with the big three.
There was the general election and announcement of results in February. In May and June, the winners were sworn into office. In July, 43 minister nominees were confirmed by the National Assembly, and 99.3 Nigeria Info was right there. Join us on Wednesday, 21st of August, as we bring you live coverage of President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet swearing-in ceremony from the State House in Abuja. The live coverage studio begins from 10 a.m. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Keep listening.
You know what to expect on the big three stories that everybody is talking about right now. What's the right way to challenge non-performing government officials? And how do we end the endless university strikes once and for all? And how did Nigeria end up owing an unknown company 3 trillion naira? Let's get into these stories. Voices from all sides of the political divide are condemning the attack on former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu. Ekweremadu of Enugu State was beaten by an angry mob in Nuremberg, Germany, during a New Yam Festival celebration for Igbos in Germany. The proscribed indigenous people of Biafra has claimed responsibility for the attack and warned other Igbo political leaders to expect the same. Ekweremadu's party, the PDP, condemned the attack, and the All Progressives Congress called the beating an assault on decency. It was quite a shocking video, Aghogho.
Oh yeah, shocking video. Every time I looked at it, I
couldn't watch it.
I had to go. You couldn't watch it.
I couldn't watch it.
No, so I got the extended version, and
I
then
couldn't. It was too. I couldn't watch it.
Horrendous that this could have happened, to Ike Ekweremadu, and obviously the people who went to that venue, Nuremberg, were obviously in the know that this was going to happen. Maybe the organizers, who had been warned earlier, should have taken the threats more seriously, because from the conversation between the back and forth before the police came and then separated both sides, those are the supporters of IPOB and the organizers of the event. It was obvious that they had issued them warning before, saying they were going to disrupt that meeting. So they probably would have taken them more. She got the police involved earlier than that, So Ike Ekweremadu was in the hall and then stepped out of the hall, and then he was ambushed. Fortunately, it could have been worse, because just before he drove off and he had been pelted with eggs and his top,
his dress torn.
Anything could have happened. And then the organizer of the event would have had to face more uproar over what had happened. So the reactions have been numerous. Even up till today, I'm getting a lot of reactions, and the reactions have been a lot on the side of Ike Ekweremadu, even though he says he forgives them. But people from, irrespective of what parties they belong to, have called for not only just an investigation, but all of those involved in this to be punished. And very, very importantly also to the, I did get comments from the Nigerian Nigerian ambassador to Germany, who says he's working in close contact with the authorities in Nuremberg to see that they can dig deeper into what had happened with those. And there's also been, you did make mention of the fact that IPOBs put out a statement, the Rogue radio station online. Nnamdi Kanu put out the reason why this was happening, put up a 1 million naira gift for anyone who will give them the itinerary of any official from the southeast who will show up in anywhere in Europe. So we're back to the question on the group and what to do with the group. Obviously, Ike Ekweremadu, a lot of people have the irony is to highlight his role, interestingly, with Nnamdi Kanu. He was one of those who went behind the scenes and all of that to make sure that Baribe will stand as shorty for him, and at the end of the day, this is how he gets paid back. But the question with IPOB will still have to be addressed. I mean, if you can't get them dealt, if you can close them shop in the southeast in the country through the proscription, what about Europe? There's still the big question. He boasts about the numbers they have. We can't verify those numbers, whether they're large enough to disrupt the itinerary of any official from the southeast that shows up in any European hall. But it's something for us to think about.
I have to say, first of all, that beating somebody up is a crime. It's assault and battery. Whatever you like to say about that, it's a crime. Whether it happened in Nigeria or in Germany, assault and battery, crimes. Right? Now, the two major parties condemned the attack. Like I said, PDP called it barbaric. APC called it an attack on decency. There was still some politics, though. I mean, the APC told PDP to apologize for supporting IPOB in the past. PDP said they didn't support IPOB. They only demanded that the government respect human rights and rule of law while dealing with them. But one particular politician said something that I found interesting. He said something slightly different about this case. Kingsley Moghalu. He ran for president under the YPP banner. He said that while the attack itself was wrong, politicians should realize that Nigerians are angry and that the root cause of that anger needs to be resolved by solving the problems in the nation. So let's ask you, are you angry? What are the things that are making you angry at politicians? Tell us the legal ways that citizens should show politicians if they are displeased. And then what should government do about IPOB? 01277 0993, 01277 1993, 01277 2993, and 01277 3993. You can also watch on Facebook again, Nigeria Info FM, and leave us comments online when you get there. You send us a WhatsApp message 080-959-75805. We're going to take 2 calls. We have 30 seconds for each call. 30 seconds. So make your thoughts your points as quickly as possible. You don't need to greet our ancestors. 30 seconds. Hello, Peter. Welcome.
Good evening.
Yes. Good evening. Go ahead.
In fact, means that there is hungry in the land. And the only constitutional means of expressing our mind is the election. But election was built with malpractices, intimidation, and all sorts of. All the electoral offenders today, we don't know what happened to them. So, we should expect more of this if there is no changes in the land. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Peter. Thank you for keeping it very short. Ndukwe is in Ifako. He says he's over angry. All right, tell us about your anger. 30 seconds. Ndukwe. I think we have a line that is non-responsive. Ndukwe, call us back if you can. Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. What's your name?
Yeah, Osamo is my name. I'm calling from Lagos.
Welcome. You've got 30 seconds.
Yes, I wasn't surprised that the 2 major political parties condemned the assault. Because after all, they will be the victims. They would expect that assault may happen to them. But the fact is that people are angry. And one thing I know about Nigerians is that this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning,
so
he says.
If the politicians if they really want to avoid such embarrassment, they should try going on.
All right. 30 seconds is up. Thanks for calling us. Hello. Thank you.
Hello.
Turn your radio off. What's your name, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Abiola. Good, Abiola. Please go ahead.
So, quickly, fact is, yes, we may say this is not very nice. But please tell me, how many local government chairmen can we assess at home? How many governors can we assess in Lagos or any other states in Nigeria? See, simple truth is this. They themselves know, the politicians know, that the people are not only angry, they are fed up. And whether they like it or not, I will tell you the truth. I don't pray for it, but they should know that the Arab Spring is closer than they think in Nigeria. Have a lovely day.
All right, Abiola, thanks for calling us. From beatings in Nuremberg to strikes in our universities, the 2 largest unions for Nigerian university workers have gone on a warning strike today. The Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, and the Senior Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, SANU. They've decided to down tools over the failure of the government to respond to a 14-day ultimatum given earlier. The unions are demanding an increase in earned allowances for their members, as well as government obedience of a 2016 court order to reinstate sacked workers of university staff schools. Aghogho, month after month, another university strike, it seems.
Yeah, because the fundamental issues haven't been dealt with. All the conversation we've had earlier on, we had a conversation on education, and many of the things our resource person then did, Peter Ogudoro did raise, I remember very well, are some of the issues that still bedevil the education sector, and that's why you'll have the strikes happen. One of the interesting things I found, a correspondent George Bagdobo at Lagos State University earlier on, and interestingly, one of the things I did here is this rift between the NASU, Non-Academic Staff Union, and the Academic Staff Union, saying the 23 billion or 25 billion now that was handed over to them, ASU had 80% of that money. So you have the rivalry playing out again between the non-academic staff and the academic staff. The same sort of rivalry you have between JUHES, which is the Joint Health Workers, and the NMA, whenever they have any of these issues. So that's one major issue that's been talked about. I've had a lot of comments from people saying when you throw in issues like the state of education at the university with the facilities, it's thrown in as tokenism, to give a moral ground for any strike action. Not necessarily they will want maybe those universities to be five-star universities, but more to draw the sympathy of the people to say, think about us while this is going on.
And remember that ASU went on strikes last year, and one of the issues was that government hadn't made money available for increased allowances. And so we want to ask, the big question is, can the government and the universities afford these increased allowances and staff schools? Because the second issue that they're striking over is the staff school judgment. Basically, lots of our universities also run staff primary and secondary schools. Some years ago, many of these universities stopped paying the salaries of the workers in the staff schools. They just took them off the payroll. The matter went to the industrial court, and the court gave a ruling that universities must keep staff of staff schools on their payrolls. Some universities have obeyed the order, and some have not. University of Ibadan, for example, still hasn't re-enrolled some of theirs. So unions are telling government to force all the federal universities to obey the order and start paying the staff school employees again. So are the unions asking for too much? Why does government keep promising money that it cannot pay? What should both government and universities be doing to make more funding available? These are the questions for our second story. And it seems like NASU and SANU are not the only ones that the government is owing money, because a UK court ruled last week that Nigeria owes Process and Industrial Developments Limited, PNID, a total of $9 billion, or about 3.2 trillion naira, over a failed natural gas deal. The court also gave PNID permission to get the money by seizing Nigeria's assets. This decision is the latest in a tug of war between Nigeria and the relatively unknown industrial firm that has lasted since 2010. Meanwhile, the governor of Nigeria's central bank, Godwin Emefiele, has responded to that ruling. He says that Nigeria has grounds for appeal based on what he claims are irregularities in the ways that the contract was awarded. He said the EFCC would be investigating the contract award. 3 trillion naira, Aghogho. That's over 1/3 of our budget.
Lightning don't strike twice, but
My
it happens
God.
very often in Nigeria, over and over again. Brings to my mind when Nigeria was indebted to the Paris Club several years ago. We had to go for debt forgiveness. A lot of the monies Nigeria had accrued over debt many of those years were monies we could not understand how on earth we're owing those monies. But it's because of things like this that you have something like this play out. We've always wondered what happened in those years that Goodluck Jonathan was, whether he was acting president or president, and then Nigeria was on autopilot. And people have said, we will face the consequences of those. And that's exactly what's happening.
This is
here.
one of those
The
consequences.
company in question here, there is no evidence to show that they put a single pipe at Udukman in Cross River State. But because they were very smart and they realized that nothing was happening at that point in time, they insisted that we had put money there. And then look at what has happened at the end of the day. So lightning strikes again, and we're left to bear the consequence of whether or not we can take act. We can refuse this judgment or face the consequence of investment partners abroad.
And to be honest, that's the point of contention, that PID was supposed to build a gas processing plant while government built the pipeline from the gas field to the plant. Government failed to do its part, while PNID claims that they have already pumped $40 million into preliminary stuff. No pipeline, no project. So total award in dollars is about $9 billion. And it's been very interesting to see the trade of blame on this matter. Supporters of the current administration are saying, it was the Jonathan administration that caused the problem in 2010 by going back on the deal and failing to pay the company between 2010 and 2013. And then from 2013, they still don't know the arbitration decision. And then you have the supporters of Jonathan who have said, why didn't Buhari pay the money between 2015 and now? And some of them are also insisting that it was a bad contract signed before Jonathan became president by Yar'Adua's cabal. But the question is this how government should handle a contract it doesn't like? That's the big question. Because again, like I said, if we had handled this matter when it came up the first time, we wouldn't be paying 1/3 of our budget right now. But we're stuck with this and we'll have to handle it. So we're curious what your thoughts are. Who's most to blame for this situation? Have you been following it? When a government inherits a contract it doesn't like or a debt it doesn't want to pay, does it have the right to just look away? It's 3:45. We have to learn about Forex. And afterwards, we're going to talk to you on Checkpoint. But you can leave us comments on any of these stories on Facebook. We'd like to hear your thoughts. We'd like to read your thoughts. Facebook, again, is Nigeria Info FM. Or you can tweet at us at Nigeria Info FM. On Checkpoint today, let's take a look at Nigeria's correctional facility. That's what it's called now?
Correctional Service. NCS,
Yes, let's see what the difference is now that it's a correctional service. Huh?
Right.
Hard Facts will be right back.